10 years ago, on March 19, 2003, President Bush announced the start of military action in Iraq, Operation Iraqi Freedom. Up next, his 5-minute address from the Oval Office.
My fellow citizens, at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger. On my orders, coalition forces have begun striking selected targets of military importance to undermine Saddam Hussein's ability to wage war. These are opening stages of what will be a broad and concerted campaign. More than 35 countries are giving crucial support, from the use of naval and air bases to help with intelligence and logistics to the deployment of combat units. Every nation in this coalition has chosen to bear the duty and share the honor of serving in our common defense. To all the men and women of the United States Armed Forces now in the Middle East, the peace of a troubled world and the hopes of an oppressed people now depend on you. That trust is well placed. The enemies you confront will come to know your skill and bravery. The people you liberate will witness the honorable and decent spirit of the American military. In this conflict, America faces an enemy who has no regard for conventions of war or rules of morality. Saddam Hussein has placed Iraqi troops and equipment in civilian areas, attempting to use innocent men, women, and children as shields for his own military, a final atrocity against his people. I want Americans and all the world to know that coalition forces will make every effort to spare innocent civilians from harm. A campaign on the harsh terrain of a nation as large as California could be longer and more difficult than some predict. And helping Iraqis achieve a united, stable, and free country will require our sustained commitment. We come to Iraq with respect for its citizens, for their great civilization, and for the religious faiths they practice. We have no ambition in Iraq except to remove a threat and restore control of that country to its own people. I know that the families of our military are praying that all those who serve will return safely and soon. Millions of Americans are praying with you for the safety of your loved ones and for the protection of the innocent. For your sacrifice, you have the gratitude and respect of the American people. And you can know that our forces will be coming home as soon as their work is done. Our nation enters this conflict reluctantly, yet our purpose is sure. The people of the United States and our friends and allies will not live at the mercy of an outlaw regime that threatens the peace with weapons of mass murder. We will meet that threat now with our Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and Marines, so that we do not have to meet it later with armies of firefighters and police and doctors on the streets of our cities. Now that conflict has come, the only way to limit its duration is to apply decisive force. And I assure you, this will not be a campaign of half measures, and we will accept no outcome but victory. My fellow citizens, the dangers to our country and the world will be overcome. We will pass through this time of peril and carry on the work of peace. We will defend our freedom. We will bring freedom to others, and we will prevail. May God bless our country and all who defend her.
Now, who remembers this? Who remembers George Bush's speech about Saddam Hussein being such a dictator, weapons of mass destruction? And I know you're probably wondering, Minister Yashab, are you doing the right lesson? I mean, you're talking about Cern. What does George Bush, Saddam Hussein, and Iraq have to do with Cern? Well, maybe we can move out the way George Bush, but everything else has to do with it, right? Now, this was almost 2 decades ago, a war that lasted, what, 12, 13, 14, 15 years. People on both sides still undergoing mental harm, physical harm, spiritual harm. Mind you, out of this came what? ISIS. But the question is, to stay on topic, what were these weapons of mass destruction? Now let's fast forward to this year and see what Bush has to say.
Russian elections are rigged. Political opponents are imprisoned or otherwise eliminated from participating in the electoral process. The result is an absence of checks and balances in Russia and the decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of of Ukraine. Iraq. Anyway, 75.
Now, let's run it back a little bit. There, he admitted that this was what he did was a brutal invasion of Iraq, right? Did you catch that? Just in case you didn't.
In Russia and the decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of Iraq.
Unjustified and brutal invasion of Iraq. Okay, and then he says 75 because he wants you to blame it on the old age. Iraq and Ukraine don't sound anything alike. Maybe you said Iraq and Iran, okay. But Iraq and Ukraine have nothing to do with one another, not even in the same region. Now, from the first video of starting the war, right? If you have come this far in the truth, for example, if you've been in the truth about maybe 4+ years or so, maybe even 3+ years, you understand what happened with 9/11. I ain't even gonna say. You understand. They flew out the Air Force all the way to a different part of the region on purpose. Certain people weren't at work that day at the towers. You understand. So no need to get into that. But what I want to show you is how the start of that Iraq war had all to do with Cern. Now, remember in my first video of the Cern, I told you, brothers and sisters, if you just look at this at a physical standpoint, you will be completely confused. Right? You had to look at this from a spiritual standpoint. If your mindset, everything that you discern was not based entirely on the Bible with discernment, it would completely miss you. The understanding would miss you. And we know this is true because in Daniel 12:10, only the righteous will become wise, while the unrighteous will not understand anything. Okay, paraphrasing, but that's exactly what the scripture says. So why did this invasion occur? Before I finish with why it occurred, okay, I want to take you to the slide first. So this one is going to be called, and yes, once again, I told you, for the sake of viewers, you know, there's inappropriate pictures of Beyonce, you know, so if you have children, you know, cover their eyes, you know, to your discretion. Yesterday we went over the beast. Are you ready? Apollo is here. And today we're going to go over staring into the abyss. Okay, remember I told you Beyonce did a photo cover of herself upon every horse of the of Revelation 6. Okay, she did every horse. All right. Now, not to get too strange, but if you look at her wardrobe, which shouldn't even be called a wardrobe because there's barely anything, it looks spiky, right? But when I view it, I almost view like a type of skeleton kind of material. If you look at it, right, it looks like, you know, like a sort of like a column with spikes, right? And so if you understand the sternum and different things like that, along with the spine, you got the vertebrae and stuff like that that's coming out. So it sort of reminded me like of a really wicked spine. Now, that brings me to Revelation 6, right? Revelation 6, talking about the seven seals, and so something that a lot of people shy away from. Christians, Israelites, whomever. A lot of people shy away from these things. But we're going to go head first into it. It reads, and I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals. Now, here's the thing. Did anyone read carefully? The Lamb opened the seals. That's Christ. Okay, that's Christ. And I heard as it were the noise of thunder, and one of the four beasts saying, come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he sat on him. He that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. You know, this is war and even medical warfare as well. Anything that could conquer and bring low a people. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. Now we see the violence all over. Not. We see nations being more powerful than others. No, I'm not talking about Russia and Ukraine. We see nations. We see religious factions. ISIS, ISIL, Boko Haram, so forth and so forth. Al-Shabaab. You see tribal wars, right? There was even you see the Kurds, okay, and northern Syria by that Turkish borderline. You see the women fighters up there. You see all kinds of just atrocities upon atrocities, okay, all over the earth. Verse 5, and when he had opened the third seal, I heard the beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he sat on him and had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil or the wine. Now we understand this as famine, okay? Or should I say inflation of food, to the point that the next seal would be open. Everything leads to something, right? And verse 7, and when he had opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th beast say, come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed him. And power was given unto them over the 4th part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Now, a lot of people don't research this, the 4th part of the earth. Now, let me show you something, because I want to share with you what this means. A lot of people will just go right by it. Oh, a 4th part of the earth, yada, 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 and without any understanding, they will sit there and say, oh, well, 4th part of the earth, it doesn't have no meaning. But when you Google 4th part of the earth, look what it says. The other 3 parts of the world are Asia, Europe, and Africa. So what's the 4th part? The 4th part is known as the Americas. Okay? And yeah, we including Canada in there too. That's Canada. That's America, which is Babylon. That's Mexico. That's Central America. That's South America. Okay, 4th part of the world. Hey, don't believe me? Just research. Library of Congress. 4th part of the world is Babylon. So, okay, in the countries that's around. So if you're thinking that you're just going to flee into some kind of peace, well, no, you must endure to the end. And why would I say this? Because America and Canada have never been waged war upon, right? Of course. And then look what they did. America has set up guerrillas and gangs in Central and South America. They have sent special forces units to train the guerrillas, give them weapons to oppress their own people, and then wonder why all the immigrants, all the people are coming in droves by the thousands to their country. Because you created a problem that is not fixable. It cannot be fixed without the intervention of the Most High. Simple. But that's from the Library of Congress. So hey, take it how it is. That 4th part of the world is Babylon, Canada, and all the countries in the Americas. And you wonder why. You may say, oh, well, death is going to happen everywhere. That's true. That's true. Killing is going to happen everywhere. That's true. Hunger is going to happen everywhere. Yeah. But guess what? famine is going to be harsher, and I know that's not in the word, it's going to be more severe, okay, in the Americas, because one, the cartels, the guerrillas, all the gangs, they run the food supply. They will eventually run the food supply after they start starving. They got all the guns. It's going to go from drugs to food. This also goes to say to all those individuals who thought they was going to barter, ain't no one going to barter with you. Telling you. Look, to kill and with death. Okay, so it just tells me a lot of death is going to happen. No one's going to sit there and try and reason with you. I mean, y'all, look what you've seen, right? Look what we've seen all over the earth. We've seen what? Or should I say, especially in Babylon and Europe, we see them switching from real meat to what they would call impossible meat, right? If you didn't know, brothers, sisters, that's human flesh. So they are slowly and subtly accustoming people to wanting to crave flesh. You ever seen the movies where, and then there's certain documentaries on YouTube. If you go the cannibals, I think it's of India, and they say when you eat human flesh, you start to get the jitters, just like in the movies. You start to get the jitters, and until you get that flesh again, those jitters don't get controlled. Nothing good is coming out of starvation, because mind you, brothers and sisters, one thing leads to another. This is coming from the other seal to the next seal. And the Most High said, what you have done to others will happen unto you. Now, is the Most High going to take care of all these cartels, all the gangs, all the guerrilla groups? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that we won't have our own troubles and trials. You may come across them, and the Most High may show you his might by standing across these people, right? Like a Moses, like a Elijah, right? You don't have to be strong with this one, brothers and sisters. Okay, but why am I going here? Because this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to occur. All right. Now, how does this all play with Cern? Death and destruction is coming. They invaded Iraq, unjustified, killed millions of people, hurt millions of their own, broke millions of families of the soldiers' homes. And let's not forget, Nato was there as well. So he said 35 plus other countries. So it's not just Babylon who went in there to trample all over people and kill people. And that's just Iraq. Meaning, well, we will talk about Afghanistan but in a bit. So now the same things that they have perpetuated on other nations now must come back. Everyone says karma, karma, karma. No, it is the Most High recompensing. What goes around will come back. The bigger they are, the harder they must fall. So everything that they've done to others, it is being done right now. But what you didn't see upon the invasion was this. What was the true reason behind invading Iraq? Here it is. Fair use.
Who today remembers the legends of the grandeur that was ancient Babylon? President Saddam is one who does. Indeed, for the president of modern-day Iraq, ancient Babylon has more than mere historical significance. This is the southern palace of King Nebuchadnezzar. In the 6th century BC, he was the Middle East's top dog. And this is the throne room of King Nebuchadnezzar, the ruler of the greatest empire the world had known until this time. And he made sure that everyone did know about it too.
You can see some inscriptions from the time of Nebuchadnezzar, as it is. The translate of this inscription: I'm Nebuchadnezzar, the king of the world. Reconstruct this building to my family and to my God. I hope to help me in the lower life, that's mean in the death life. He liked to put his stamp on all the bricks there in Babylon.
The palace was rebuilt by President Saddam. He sees Nebuchadnezzar as the first Iraqi revolutionary and a man to emulate.
So right there, Saddam Hussein rebuilt Babylon. You didn't know that, did you? We all know what happened with the Tower of Babel, Nimrod, right? But this is talking about Babylon and Nebuchadnezzar. So there's a lot of spiritual danger going on in Iraq. That they had to justify it by saying, oh, these crazy people put a plane into the building, killed hundreds of people. We need to go to war. But yet, tell me this, right? How come you needed to go to war after a plane went into a building rather than before if you knew they had weapons of mass destruction? And if they used the plane, then what exactly are the weapons of mass destruction? Is it a plane? Because that's what they used, apparently, right? You see when you look detailed in the lines, it does not make sense, does it? It doesn't. But here you go. Let's finish.
It says, in the era of President Saddam Hussein, all Babylon was reconstructed in 3 stages. From Nebuchadnezzar to Saddam Hussein, Babylon is rising again.
Babylon is rising again. So he wanted to bring back the old Babylon.
In the Bible, it was Babylon the whore, destroyed by its enemies and on God's order never to be rebuilt. But Iraq insists its history has been falsified and that it's had a bad press ever since.
And so they don't believe that they are the Babylon that the Bible speaks of. They don't believe that they're the Babylon that should never be rebuilt. That's why they were making the old one. For all those people who don't think that America is Babylon, right? It most certainly is. Moving forward.
It begins from the Genesis and the story of the Tower of Babylon, and goes to the Psalms and to everywhere in the Old Testament, where you hear the very big hatred against the city of Babylon itself. I receive letters from people all over the world telling me, why you are restoring Babylon again? Why you are doing this and that? Don't you know this is violating again the order of the God? This is not my God. This is the God of the Jewish people.
Did you hear what he said? He said, hey, I could care less. This ain't my God. This is the God of the Hebrews, God of the Israelites, God of the Jews. There is no J in the Hebrew language, so it's God of the Israelites, the Hebrews. That's what they say. But yet, watch this, right? How can you stake claim to Babylon when the Quran doesn't even make any mention of Nebuchadnezzar? Only the Bible. Yeah, there's something wrong with that picture, right? Something is wrong here. I digress. Let's keep going.
But the real history of Babylon remains in doubt, particularly the Hanging Gardens. Not so much hanging gardens, so the theory goes, as gardens stepped up into the sky and irrigated by water pumped from the Euphrates River.
And we didn't receive any inscription, cuneiform inscription from the old Babylonian time about the hanging garden.
But the Tower of Babel certainly did. To historians, it was a structure of enormous height, in the Bible a symbol of human arrogance. It looks nothing like that today, just a big hole in the ground, surrounded by a moat. The palace on the hill is interesting, though. Although money for the archaeology dried up years ago, funding was found for modern palaces like this, because they fit the dream of modern-day greatness. These days, that's an illusion. Today, the Nebuchadnezzar Museum is locked and empty, for Iraq is experiencing a wave of robberies. Trying to survive, people sell anything they have. On top of that, some have turned to theft, stealing priceless artifacts from ancient sites. The Iraqi government blames this on the UN sanctions, which it says not only drive Iraqis to commit these crimes, but actually obstruct the efforts to recover them.
It is also a kind of violation to the embargo itself, because these countries who are really forbidding us from getting the medicine and food for our people are at the same time allowing the traders and smugglers to transfer all our objects to them.
To the Iraqi government, Babylon's a cult, a symbol of Iraqi greatness, towering above the weakness and the decadence of the modern Arab world, just as ancient Babylon towered above the ancient world. Wabi's days are empty ones. His life's work is at a standstill.
Babylon does not belong to the Iraqi, just the Iraqi, all the world, because it gives the first civilization in the world, of course. The civilization is not for the Iraqi, for all people in all the world.
So the true reason was Saddam Hussein was trying to rebuild Babylon. But it goes even deeper than what you would know. But before we get into the next clip, let's go to Revelations 9. Revelations 9 and 11. Okay, now we know it talks about the angels, the fallen coming out, okay, and so forth and so forth and so forth. Okay. Fifth angel having the keys to the bottomless pit. That's in the first one. Okay, I'll read that first one. It says, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto earth. And to him, who's him? The star that fell. Who fell from heaven? Luke 10. And 18. I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. So you understand now, right? Okay, good. Praise the Most High. So that star, who is Satan, fell from heaven unto earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Now, fast forward to verse 11. And they had a king over him, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. Now, if you go into my previous lesson, part 4, I broke this down in the understanding. Now, here's a fun fact. Right on the waters, not too far from Iraq and Iran, there's a city also called Abaddon. Okay, go and check that out. Very interesting. So, Satan is the angel of the bottomless pit. Look what it says, the abyss, depthless. Okay, let's see. Variation of the deep. Now, depth is deep, the sea. Okay, now I want you to remember the bottomless pit. Okay, and I want you to remember it's a variation of the sea, water, different things, right? The reason why the animals are washing up is because certain things are going on underneath the water that they're not sharing. I'm going to share with you because that is the neutrino. Okay, that is the neutrino. They're taking all the water and putting it into the neutrino. I'm going to go into the neutrino soon, don't worry. But I want you to remember, so Satan holds, he is the angel, he is the one who is in charge of the bottomless pit. Okay, now remember, going back to Iraq, Saddam was trying to rebuild Babylon, right? What a strong delusion. So did they go to Iraq because he was trying to rebuild Babylon? No. So Minister Yeshab, why did they go there? Check this out. Fair use.
About 225 miles southeast of Baghdad is an area with historical and religious significance, but the only people who get to see it are American troops.
Countries all over the world have took an overwhelming interest in Middle Eastern states. In particular, Iraq has been the place of constant power struggles. Why is that? Some people may be surprised to learn that Iraq was the center of the world for thousands of years. The city of Ur was the very first true city of the world and was central to ancient activity, much like New York City is today.
Whoop. So they also know New York City also a massive demonic place, but that maybe that's why their mayor keeps, shooting out that we gonna get nuked soon, Within like the past 2 weeks, they've been telling people that they're about to get nuked in New Jersey, that whole coastline. But hey, what do I know? I digress. Keep moving.
Ur is recorded in written history dating back 6,500 years BC and is even in the Torah, Old Testament. They made many advances, including math and astronomy, to name a few, and they may have even made alien contact. We know that sounds crazy, guys, but what if it were true?
Now, real quick, for my Persian brothers and sisters watching, tell me that doesn't look like the Zoroastrian symbol, the god of fire, for the Persians. Come on now. Okay. I digress. Keep going. God of fire is Satan, right? Okay. All right. Never mind. Let's keep going.
Guys, but what if it were true? What if we were to tell you that the power struggles in the region surrounding modern-day Iraq is the direct result of the search for ancient technology? What if
I thought it was weapons of mass destruction. So they slaughter people. They killed their own soldiers. They went on TV and put a whole sob story, but it had nothing to do with the planes. What did it have to do with? Check this out.
search for ancient technology? What if we were to tell you that a Stargate portal was discovered there in the 1920s, and for almost 100 years, the search has been on for technology that could change the course of human history?
Ooh, 1920? Brothers and sisters, that was literally almost about 100 years ago. You and I are late, but all praises to the Most High that we have this knowledge. So when you understand that there's no more wars going on in the earth, they have achieved what they wanted. Now, real quick, you may say Stargate. Stargate. Minister Yashab, why is Stargate important? Y'all remember in the first lesson I shared with you of Cern? What did I share with you? Let me see it real quick. Cern opened the Stargate. Watch this real quick. 20-second clip.
In 8 seconds from now, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Listen to her carefully.
Be unstable. And there we are. Entry has officially started. Entry has officially started. Fantastic.
They officially were able to complete and open the Stargate. CERN was to open Stargates worldwide. That was the main one they used. They got they went to Afghanistan, they went to Iraq, they went to all these places for their war, only for the benefit of getting demonic intelligence. Okay, now you notice they don't do this to India because Indians don't believe in the Bible. Now you go over to the Middle East, a lot of Muslims believe in the Bible. They just won't accept it as the main book, okay, of God. But a lot of them do believe it. They believe it as the first primary book, and then they use their Quran as the complete. Brothers and sisters, we know that's incorrect, but at least they can acknowledge, and we can sit down. In the Middle East, I've been able to sit down with more Muslims about the Bible than I ever have in America about the Bible talking to Christians. That's how good of a conversation I can have. And I would be in these people's houses having these conversations, let alone you can't even talk to someone on the street or over on a social media platform because everyone in Babylon thinks they're right. But hey, CERN was to open up Stargates. Did you hear it? They opened up the Stargate. So this war in Iraq, when they tell you in 1920 they discovered it, and they've been devising carefully where they needed to go and how they needed to persuade the world to bring in multiple nations of armies to go and get these things. They did it, and we was like the strings on a puppet, believing everything they said.
What if we were to tell you that a Stargate portal was discovered there in the 1920s, and for almost 100 years, the search has been on for technology that could change the course of human history? Just wait till you guys hear this. In 2003, in direct response to the attacks in New York City, American and British troops invaded Iraq. Within weeks, the two armies crushed the Iraqi army. Mission complete, right? So why did the United States Army stay for over 10 years after liberating the country? Recently, we came across information that strongly suggests that there was a secret objective to the occupation. We are, of course, referring to the oldest known Stargate on planet Earth that we know of. At the site of the Great Ziggurat, a British explorer discovered something in the 1920s that is so unbelievable that you could be forgiven for thinking J.K. Rowling dreamed it up. During the 1980s, Saddam Hussein fortified the ancient complex in an apparent attempt to keep out investigators from seeing what was hidden within the complex for thousands of years. Strangely, Hussein put an Air Force base at this location and even developed chemical weapons here.
Now, he did develop chemical weapons, right? Did they show them? No. Wait. Oh, you get it now, right? Because the same thing they do in Roswell, New Mexico with Area 51, don't they hold things there too? But they never tell you and I about it until recently, right? Are you seeing that they just want to be in control of all the pieces? They want this power. They want this power. This is a dangerous power. The power of Satan.
The complex for thousands of years. Strangely, Hussein put an Air Force base at this location and even developed chemical weapons here. He was clearly trying to keep this ancient place heavily guarded. The three huge staircases you see in the images were put here under Saddam Hussein's orders. They were to take huge ancient objects out of the Great Ziggurat. But did he succeed? The theory that we are suggesting is that Saddam Hussein got his hands on super weapons from a forgotten age, which resulted on a preemptive strike from the US and her allies. But why did he not use the technology? Maybe it was undecipherable. Maybe it was alien language. Maybe cuneiform is in fact an alien language. Imagine this scenario. The US government obtains intelligence that hidden somewhere in central Iraq is an actual Stargate, placed there by the Anunnaki gods of ancient Sumeria, aka the aliens. In this scenario, when Nibiru, the hidden planet in our solar system, is closest to Earth, the Anunnaki will take the opportunity to travel to the Earth through this Stargate and will set up their base in Iraq and share knowledge with people of the region.
Now, before I stop you there, Nibiru is nothing important, but they would almost say it's like the Milky Way. If you understand that these things don't exist, you do your due diligence, right? Let me show you. Milky Way, okay, where the Milky Way was a part of Orion, and brothers and sisters, the Milky Way is a star gate, okay? You see Stargate? Let me see if I can find it. Found it before. So, and that's what the show was entirely on, by the way, connecting to the Milky Way. Now, we know there's no such thing as Milky Way. According to the Bible, Satan been trying to get back to heaven. That's why he needs portals. Here's even a better fun fact, brothers and sisters. If you read the book of Genesis, and it's sad because people really bypass like the first 3 books of Genesis. If you read carefully Genesis chapter 2, the Most High gives what? The moral structure of what? Rivers of Eden, Pison, Gihon, which is Ethiopia. See that? Compasses the whole land of Ethiopia. Hadekiel, Assyria, which is what? That northern part of Assyria. And the fourth is Euphrates, which runs through all of Iraq. They were having wars in the land of Eden. Now, you could never receive the power that Eden originally had because it was made into dust. It tells us that in Genesis 3, when it says in 24, so he drove out the man and he placed at the east, he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden. Where is the east? Yes, the east was Iraq. He placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword, which turned every way. Did you see that? And a lot of people don't understand that, which turned every way. What does that mean? To keep the way of the tree of life. What does that mean? A flaming sword, which turned every way. Flaming, let's see. Flaming, ablaze. Okay, ablaze. Keep that in mind. Ablaze, burn up, set on fire. Okay, and then sword. What does sword mean? Drought. Okay, the area was made dry, a desert. That is still the land of Eden. So now those soldiers coming back from Iraq, you wonder why they're having issues? They were literally fighting in God's territory, and they weren't supposed to be. That's sad. That's sad. And the reason why it's in drought is because what? The people there do not serve the Most High. He wasn't going to let you prosper in the Garden of Eden. Egypt, drought. Ethiopia, drought. Saudi Arabia, drought. Iraq, drought. Syria, drought. That whole land from 4 of those corners was all drought because none of them were serving the Most High. How come it? And you know, so and the Most High still has some wonders with these waters. You know why? Because when I was in Ethiopia, they said you go north to the regions of Bahadar and a little even up further. Guess what? People go to the waters and they're relieved of their cancer and blindness and sickness. Even the elderly people can walk after bathing in that water. There's a specific water that they guard. There's their I can't remember their name. They're the Catholic priests, but they don't call themselves Catholic. But they're the priests of their religion, and they hold claim to that water. So there's no trash, no people, nothing that goes in without them wanting to go. Okay. Yes, it's the Orthodox. Okay. Thank you for the tip of my tongue. Orthodox. So these waters are still amazing with the beautiful power of Eden. But brothers and sisters, the land is not cultivated and nourished until we go back as people and nations of people to serve the Most High. Okay? So you have to understand this is a dangerous game that they were playing. Yes, it's not a game because both sides, we're playing for keeps. They playing for keeps, and so are we in righteousness. This is everything. Brothers and sisters, this also the Mandela Effect. This is also, remember I told you the Mandela Effect is just believing in something that did not exist. What weapons of mass destruction, did you see them? Did they come out with one missile or one bomb? They didn't even come out with guns. I mean, of course, the people had guns and different things, but what weapons of mass destruction? If he had them, why did he use them? Right? Mandela Effect, believing what does not exist. So, brothers and sisters, when the Most High says, Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, what do you believe? You better make sure that what you believe is correct, because Christ said it. The first thing, I always go through this, Christ said in Matthew 24:4, take heed that no man deceive you. That means Satan will deceive you so you can get on his side. You better dig and find out what's the truth. Because you'd be like, oh, America, they blew up this. And hey, I'm sorry, but that was a sacrifice. They sacrificed those people. Years later, sitting up there saying they saw Israelis standing on the other building, recording 2 or 3 men. Then it was Arabic men from Saudi Arabia. So why don't you go and invade Saudi? Doesn't it make sense? Doesn't make sense, right? Everything is spiritual. If you can only see the physical, you are doomed to fall.
The idea that the Anunnaki were not gods but extraterrestrials that came and bestowed technology upon the Sumerians is fascinating. This tech is what made their society so advanced. Could modern Iraq be bracing itself for the same fate? Hence the overwhelming agenda. Essentially, more and more people are coming forward saying that they have been involved in these classified programs where these technologies are used quite regularly.
If I'm not mistaken, that's Egypt.
And that they are found all over the planet. Iraq is just one other place that they are found.
Whoa. So then other leaders came out and started saying, no, hold on now. The Stargate just ain't in Iraq. We got some stuff too. Where at, I wonder?
The strongest available evidence for an historical ET presence in Iraq comes from cuneiform tablets directly recording the beliefs and activities of the ancient Sumerians, whose civilization began almost overnight. Most of these cuneiform tablets relate to stories of the Sumerians interacting with their gods. Most archaeologists initially accepted that these were merely myths and attached little importance to them other than giving insight into the mytho-religious beliefs of the ancient Sumerians. That viewpoint received a major challenge in 1976 when the Sumerian scholar Zecharia Sitchin published the first of a series of books on his translations of thousands of Sumerian tablets. Rather than treating the stories of the gods as myths that had little verifiable relevance, Sitchin interpreted the tablets as literal descriptions of events as they occurred in the time. These modern viewpoints are emerging from the ashes of a world that was ruled by empires and dictatorships. Have we simply misinterpreted history for thousands of years? We told you the truth may be stranger than you would ever even consider believing. What does that tell you? What do you think of the Stargate portal at the Zikkurat of in Iraq? The signs are everywhere. The writing is on the wall. Thanks for watching.
I know I'm blowing your mind now. They showed it that now everybody gonna want to go back and watch that sci-fi show Stargate. Brothers and sisters, you don't have to do that. All you gotta do is prepare yourself in righteousness. That's all you gotta do. That's all. Prepare yourself in righteousness. Because Ephesians 6 told us what? You should have remembered from Ephesians 6 and 12, right? We wrestle it not with flesh and blood. We ain't working against presidents, against prime ministers, mayors, governors, United Nation electees. These ain't normal people. Normal people don't invade places to go into a Stargate, or should I say to get things out of it. Normal people don't do this. But a little more juice for you. So what happened? Check this out.
March 19th, 2003. The United States military begins its shock and awe air campaign over the city of Baghdad. It is a preemptive strike aimed to overthrow Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein, who the government believes is in possession of weapons of mass destruction.
Saddam Hussein wanted to make Iraq a regional and perhaps a global superpower. He spoke about himself as the new Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar II was the great Babylonian warrior king, famously known for
Now, excuse me, I messed up that. But did you hear what it said? He claimed himself to be the new Nebuchadnezzar. Somebody lying here. I mean, either the Bible is a million times accurate or it's a million times accurate. Because you don't go and start wars over a book you don't believe. Right? I don't see them going to start wars in Hinduism or Buddhism or even in Islam. Yeah, they wage war on one another tribally. And we know that Iran will do things with Russia and Turkey to Babylon. That's for the future, the near future. But like, no one goes behind the book like these people do, right? I mean, these nations, and I'm talking about these leaders who have power over brigades. That's thousands upon thousands. You got to really believe the Bible to go and kill people over it. But you see, the race is that they understand that Christ is coming. And so they want to race to get more power to fight against Christ and those who serve him. This is what it's all about. If anyone tells you Cern is not spiritual, just walk away. I got to argue with you. Just walk away. Okay, fine. They got the mascot out there. They do the satanic dances. Physics is the name of a goddess in the first place. The symbol of Cern, so forth and so forth. Like, come on. The location of it. Don't sit there and tell me this is not spiritual. Even if you didn't believe in the Bible, come on. You could see why they're using a religious deity, right? Why are they over a religious city that meant underworld, right? Why is there so much emphasis of finding out what is behind something we cannot see, right? That's spiritual. Spiritual is things we can't see. So don't sit there and tell me that this isn't spiritual. This is all spiritual.
Saddam Hussein,
Biblically spiritual, that is.
who the government believes is in possession of weapons of mass destruction.
Saddam Hussein wanted to make Iraq a regional and perhaps a global superpower. He spoke about himself as the new Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar II was the great Babylonian warrior king, most famously known for rebuilding and expanding the Babylonian Empire in the 6th century BC. His armies conquered Egypt, as well as ransacking and destroying Solomon's temple in 597 BC.
Saddam Hussein went nuts. He believed he was the reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar. So he ordered massive reconstruction of Babylon, which was done with bricks bearing his name on them.
You don't believe the Bible now? You don't believe the Bible, but you reading it to find out about Nebuchadnezzar because it ain't in the Quran. Right? Wake up. Let me slap you a little bit. Wake up. For all the soldiers out there, because I didn't go into the Iraq war. I was in the military, but not in no Iraq war. All y'all who told about deploying into these countries, you may want to ask the Most High for forgiveness, because yeah, you was just taking orders, but you were used as a pawn for something called a spiritual war. And you don't want that to be against you on the day of judgment. So that is the Most High's land. That is Eden. Imagine having that on your books for judgment. Oh, well, I saw that you were in the army that waged war against my holy land. It's not a good look. Repent.
Everyone would come to respect the ancient Nebuchadnezzar and the new Nebuchadnezzar.
The missing piece to the puzzle of why we went to war with Iraq is the understanding that Saddam Hussein sought to outdo what Nebuchadnezzar had accomplished in his earlier life. The ultimate accomplishment of Nebuchadnezzar was the opening of the fiery furnace.
What did he just say? No, you thought that Minister Yeshua was just making it up. The fiery furnace. What is that called? Now, if I didn't know no better, that sounds like a bottomless pit to me. Okay, keep going.
Nebuchadnezzar had gone to Jerusalem, looted and leveled the Temple of Solomon, and he brought the wise men of the temple back to Babylon with him. What happened in the story is absolutely amazing. These three wise men enter this fiery furnace. Not only did they come back out in perfect condition, they weren't alone. They came back with an extraterrestrial visitor in tow. In today's terms, we would obviously call this a stargate or a portal. Saddam knew this.
There's one theory that the Iraq war was actually a war about a stargate. Saddam Hussein, so the theory goes, got access to this stargate, maybe threatened to use it. Was that why the Allied powers went in? It sounds far-fetched, but this theory is widely believed. Is it possible the United States military was pursuing more than weapons of mass destruction when they invaded Iraq? Could something of great significance, perhaps a portal to another world, have been found amongst the chaos? And if there are truths about extraterrestrial involvement with our planet hidden in forbidden zones, just what would happen when the truth is finally revealed?
What would happen? What would happen if you told people that that Stargate was a fiery furnace? That Cern, aka the Stargate, they done opened it up, but it's spiritual. You can't see this. The time to see what comes from the spiritual to the physical is not yet manifested. It's not yet, but it's coming. Now that makes us wonder, what else is going on? Why is it important about Iraq? Brothers and sisters, is Eden. Stop calling it dirty Middle East and start calling it Eden, because that's what it is. Stop calling it the sand or the desert. It's Eden. That's what it is. Let's put some You know how people say being politically correct? Let's be biblically correct. There is no such thing in the Bible as Middle East. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay, everyone falls into those three forefathers, and everyone had a land. All right, that area where people are in Arabia, those are Semitic people. That was the Garden of Eden, along with Egypt and Ethiopia. Okay, so Revelations 9, going back. I'm blowing mine right now. Revelations 9, I'll start from 11. 9 verse 11. And it reads, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon. But in Greek, one moment, excuse me. But in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. One woe is past, and behold, there come two more woes. There come two woes more hereafter. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000 thousands. That's a lot. It's not 200,000. It's times that. Okay. And I heard the number of them, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire, and a ensign, and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. And by these three was a third part of men killed by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads with them, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed, plagues. So I've mentioned this in a prior lesson. These are plagues that were opened up. Okay, so Cern was opening up that fiery furnace. Spiritual things came out of brimstone, of fire, of smoke. All these things were plagues. The jab people and the sickness that came with that, that was the first plague. Okay, now the next one is what? The Marburg and the monkeypox. That's for sodomy and fornicating with different people. So all the fornicators, all the sodomites gonna be given. Guess what? And it's just gonna keep happening. Says, and the rest of men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornications, nor of their thefts. So look at the types of individuals who was going to get plagued. Those who falsely worship false idols. Okay, that's every religion. Those who were murderers, those who were thieves, those who fornicate, those who practice all kinds of sorcery. And y'all see how much witchcraft is going on right now. But look what it says, nor of sorceries. And y'all seen that, what I just shared with you, sorcery means pharmakia, medication. Oh yeah, all the pharmaceuticals, all the doctors, they going straight to the fire. They going straight to the fire. Why? How can you get a paycheck off of telling someone to take a leave in Advil when it destroys your liver? So it causes the blood thinning, and it can cause aneurysm. So you create medicine that does one thing, but then it has 3 other side effects that will affect people, right? And then we're going to talk about, even because guess who also gives out medication? Psychologists, right? Don't you know people kill people over the wrong information, over the wrong word? Oh, my psychologist, he told me to do what makes me happy. And then he prescribed me on this, and then I couldn't get the drugs anymore. So when I got off the drugs, I went crazy and killed someone. Don't we see that all the time? So you need medication? They hook you on medication to keep you so-called sane? Yeah, the Most High coming for them too. He coming for all these people. Murderers. Hey, a murderer is a murderer. It's as simple as that. Theft, thieves, right? Stealing, anything stolen, identity. And ooh, 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 ooh. Hey, now this can get deep, right? Stolen. Let's look at this real quick, right? To take or carry away feloniously as the personal goods of another, to withdraw or convey without notice, to gain or win by address or gradual imperceptible means, to withdraw or pass privily, to slip along or away unperceived, to practice theft. Now, remember it says to take something away. What happens when you take someone's childhood away? What happens when you take someone's life away? What happens when you take someone's car away, who that's their only means of transportation or to sleep in because they lost their home? That's theft. I don't care if it's a job or not. There's some things about being human. Everyone knows. You may sit there and tell everyone to pay their bills, but when times get tough, if you were in the position that you were 3 bills back and you saw that tow truck person come and want to put a boot on your car or tow your car, if you were in the reverse position, you would want them to turn the other cheek. Why don't we do it for everyone? Right? They've made a system where people become heartless for a paycheck. Think about it, for a paycheck. But the Most High is coming for these individuals. He said, I'm going to let everything that's coming out. So really, Cern and all of these things that's occurring, everyone who doesn't believe in the Most High should be afraid, because they're opening it to their own demise. Did you not see a key point in this scripture? It says these 4 angels that were loosed, they were prepared. So they were bound, and while they were bound, they were preparing for the type of destruction they would bring upon the world. So now, that brings me to 2nd Ezra. What is it? Is it 2nd Ezra 13 or 2nd Ezra 14? 2nd Ezra 14. Because the fallen angels are preparing. But my question is, or excuse me, they prepared. If the fallen angels have prepared, why haven't you? That's why it says in 2nd Ezra 14 and 13, now therefore set thine house in order and prove thy people and comfort them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. Let go from thee mortal thoughts and cast away the burdens of man. Put off now the weak nature. Grow up, grow a pair. Put on those pants, those big boy and big girl pants. Come on. Because let me tell you, if I was new or I didn't understand Revelations, and I seen that there were entities that were being released and they were prepared. They've been preparing for how and who and what and when and where they would start destroying. I would be petrified. I would be petrified. Hey, no, listen, no. I'm sorry. I just wouldn't get it. Okay. Now, really quickly, let's give you a precept. Book of Enoch. Okay. On to chapter 9. Follow me. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. And they said one to another, the earth made without inhabitant cries the voice of their crimes up to the gates of heaven. And now to you, the holy ones of heaven, the souls of men make their suit, saying, bring our cause before the Most High. And they said to the Lord of the ages, Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, and the God of the ages, the throne of thy glory standeth unto all the generations of the ages, and thy name holy and glorious, blessed unto all the ages. Thou hast made all things, and power over all things hast thou. Who are they talking about? Christ and the Most High. And all things are naked and open in thy sight, and thou seest all things, and nothing can hide itself from thee. Thou seest that Azazel. Now remember that movie with Denzel Washington called Fallen? It was talking about him. It was talking about Azazel. The whole movie was based off of Azazel. Thou seest what Azazel hath done, who hath taught all, how many? All unrighteousness on the earth, and revealed the eternal secrets which were preserved in heaven. He taught everything. So how did Saddam Hussein know about the Stargate? He's fallen and preserved heaven. Now, how did who was the Steve Jobs, I think it was, someone who created Microsoft, right? How did he go in a cave and then go to his garage where he lived with his parents and then come up with a computer out here? These are fallen entities. You don't get these type of secrets. You can't sit there and tell me, right, that Oprah and all these Bill Gates people, they done dropped out of high school and college and then became billionaires. How? How? Because people with degrees, people who are doctors and lawyers, they can't even become millionaires. So how? At 18, 19 years old, 20 years old, can you get information just by, oh yeah, oh yeah. No, doesn't work that way. It says, in which men were striving to learn. So it means the people wanted to learn this knowledge. They wanted to learn. And Simjasa, to whom thou hast given authority to rule over his associates. And they have gone to the daughters of men, Genesis 6, upon the earth, and have slept with the women and have defiled themselves and revealed to them all kinds of sins. Now we see why in the world everything is coming through the women, right? Everything is coming through the women. Sodomy came from what? Allowing of the women. And I seen a comedian a few weeks ago, right? And pedophilia is gross. It's evil, it's wicked, and they all gonna burn. But look at this, right? One comedian say, we need to stop normalizing certain things. For example, if a woman goes up to a child and says, oh, he looks so adorable, or if your daughter, she's so cute, that's normal in society. But the minute a man does it, he's a pedophile. You need to say that both of them are pedophiles. Because should no one be looking at your child that way? That's sick. But you see where there's two sides to one rules for men because we live in a Jezebel world. We live in a Jezebel world, right? Where it's about the destruction of a man and the uprising of the woman. Did anyone see where the woman got out of the car where her I think it was her husband or her fiance was driving, and she pulled a gun out and shot at the woman in road rage? Now, they gave the man who in the video told her to put the gun down as she was shooting. They gave him more time in jail than her. But she was the one who shot at a car with a 2-year-old child. We live in a Jezebel system. It's a Jezebel system. Hey, I'm just saying. And the women have borne giants, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. And now behold, the souls of those who have died are crying and making their suit to the gates of heaven, and their lamentations have ascended and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which are wrought on the earth. And thou knowest all things before they come to pass, and thou seest the things, and thou doest suffer them, and thou doest not say to us that we are to do them in regard to these. Then said the Most High, the Holy and Great One, spake and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech. Who is the son of Lamech? And said to him, go to Noah, who? Noah, and tell him in my name, hide thyself. So when you see the famine of the word, brothers and sisters, it's going to be a point where the men of the Most High must hide themselves. We would, shh, no more. Don't feel like we avoiding you. Shh, no more. You better get it while you can. I tell people, you better ask while you can. Better make sure you banging on that door. Hey, I need information. I need this. Question. Because when the Most High tells me to shut up, you best believe I'm going to shut up. And you won't find me. I'm going to delete everything. I'm going to delete everything. You ain't going to find me. You remember that? It's something we call it without a trace. You're going to find me. I wouldn't even answer you if you was at my front door. You just, man, I don't answer me. So I said, hide thyself. Christ said it would be, his return would be like the times of Noah. We're going to have to hide ourselves. And it says, and revealed to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge, which is a flood, is about to come upon the whole earth and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all the generations of the world. And again, the Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast them into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert, which is Dudiel, and cast him therein. Now, did some research. They are sitting there online, lying to people, saying Dudiel, okay, is in Israel. That's incorrect. It's a lie. Dudiel is modern day Iraq. Okay. So why was Saddam Hussein trying to open the Stargate? Because he wanted Azazel's power. Whoever opens the Stargate, Azazel will help. You ever heard of those terms, genie in a bottle? Genie means demon. You bring them from beneath into our realm, they will help you as long as they receive something as well, your soul. This is what was going on. This is more sinister, brothers and sisters. This is sinister. All right, continuing. And so that was from Dudiel. And place him upon the rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face that he may not see light. And on the day of great judgment he shall be cast into the fire, and heal the earth, which the angels have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of men may not perish through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. So when we coming from darkness into the light of Christ and the Most High with the Holy Spirit, we are supposed to put away the things of evil that we've learned. Because we wasn't even supposed to know this. Like, for example, a lot of people ain't gonna like it, but hey, smoking. Where in the right mind did you get leaves and learned to smoke it. Do you look at salad the same way? Because salad is leaves too. That was secret knowledge. That was secret knowledge. Who could look up a leaf, right, and chop it up and sniff, right? The cocaine plant, right, in Colombia. Who can teach you that? Oh, look for that specific leaf that will create drugs that will ruin and ravish lives. And then who could teach you where to inject it? Who can teach you where to inject these drugs, right? That's not normal. And y'all remember, right? Biden over there in Babylon, over there offering free crack pipes and stuff. And they gave the needles. This is the devil's work. This is the devil's work. There's nothing about those people in those offices that say, I want you to live. Nothing. So you're supposed to get rid of all this knowledge. And think about it this way too. My goodness, there's so much, brothers and sisters. There's so much. We even look at like sports, right? And I remember there are some elders and pastors who say, being, able to dunk or to run and do this, that these are talents. These are not talents. Okay, I'm letting you know this. I'm sorry if you can do that, that's great. But a talent does what? It can be multiplied. Unless you can have your congregation or your body of Christ come into shape by something that you're doing, right? That's a talent. Because you can't just do it. You have to teach people to be coordinated, right? Just like a talent is to teach people. That's a talent. Because everyone can't do it. Everyone can't. Everyone can't sit and read. Just because you see a PDF doesn't mean you can read. Just because you see pictures or watch a video doesn't mean you understand. So a talent was something that manifested into greatness for others, all in the glory of the Most High. So anything that doesn't bring glory from the Most High was taught by falling, because then it glorifies what? I said, right? It glorifies self. When you see these athletes, it glorifies who? Themselves. They're not teaching you how to do it. They're not teaching you how to keep your knees good. They're not teaching you that stay away from certain foods. They're not teaching you that you got to hydrate for a certain amount of the day. They're not teaching you about water fasting. They're not teaching you about intermittent fasting. They're not helping you. So therefore, you're being taught things just for self. Those are not talents. Moving forward. And the whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel, and to him ascribe all sin. There it is. And to Gabriel said the Lord, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, and against the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication and the children of watchers from amongst men, and cause them to go forth, and send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle. For the length of days shall they not have. That's 120. And no request that they, i.e. their fathers, make of thee shall be granted unto their fathers on their behalf, for they hope to live an eternal life, and that each one of them will live 500 years. What? 500 years. That's how long the spirits live, the fallen. So if they being released, that means their 500 years is almost up. You follow me? And the Lord said unto Michael, Go, bind Simjaza and his associates, who have united themselves with women, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth. In the valleys, you get it, right? So what you see as mountains, what's underneath the mountains? Fallen angels. They've been bound under those mountains. Now, certain mountains go to certain gods. I wouldn't be caught up on those things. I'm just saying. But hey, moving forward. Till the day of their judgment and their consummation, till the judgment that is forever and is consummated. In those days they shall be led off to the abyss of fire, and to the torment and the prison in which they shall be confined forever. We read that in the book of Josephus yesterday. And whosoever shall be condemned and destroyed will from thenceforth be bound together with them to the end of all generations. Who want to burn with fallen angels? I don't. I don't even want to see them. Unfortunately, we have to. But if I gotta see them, I want to know that I'm going in the opposite direction. You're not gonna take me to fall with you. And destroy all the spirits of the reprobate and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end. And let the plant of righteousness and truth appear, and it shall prove a blessing. The works of the righteous and truth shall be planted in truth and joy forevermore. And then shall all the righteous escape, and they shall live till they beget thousands of children, and all the days of their youth and old age, and they shall complete in peace. And let me finish it to end that part off with something positive. And then shall the whole earth be tilled with righteousness, and shall be all planted with trees, and be full of blessing. Just for those of you to know, this is not this earth. Be destroying it with fire. This is the new earth. And all the desirable trees, shall be planted on it, and they shall plant vines on it. And the vine which they plant thereon shall yield wine in abundance. And as for all the seed which is sown thereon, each measure of it shall bear 1,000. And each measure of olive oil shall yield 10 presses of oil. And cleanse thou the earth from all the oppression, and from all the unrighteousness, from all sin, and from all godlessness, and all the uncleanliness that it is wrought upon the earth, destroy from off the earth. So what's going to happen is he's destroying this earth, and it's going to come into something new. Okay? And all the children of men shall become righteous, and all the nations shall offer adoration and shall praise me. Who is me? The Most High. And all shall worship me. This also goes into the book of Zephaniah, if I'm not mistaken. Everyone comes for the Feast of Tabernacles. And the earth shall be cleansed from all defilement, and from all sin, and from all punishment, and from all torment. And I will never again send them upon it from generation to generation and forever. So this is, and the reason I read this was about the angels being bound. Okay, those are the 4 angels. Now, all taking place from Iraq, right? Remember I showed this to y'all the other day? This was a different one, but remember this? Now, they posted this and put, look what they put. Could this be the fallen? They said, what? There is a legend that 4 angels were imprisoned here by Raphael. Didn't I just read that to you? Didn't the Bible just say they were there and they were going to be loosed? So what they doing there? Brothers and sisters, what they doing there? What are they doing at the very place that the Most High said to bound them up until judgment? What are they doing? Looks like they're trying to kill us. That's what it looks like. But like I said, this is to their own demise. Because when they let Azazel out, ain't no games. When they let Azazel out, ain't no games. Go ahead and discern that movie Fallen real good and see how easy it was to possess a soul. Go ahead. Ain't no games. All right? Ain't no games. What about this? What's going on?
Iraq is suffering the worst drought in decades. The drying of Euphrates River is not a prophecy anymore. It is happening. The receding waters of the Euphrates River have revealed many ancient archaeological sites. Just recently, a mysterious cave also has been found. The cave is so mysterious that origin is still unknown. People still investigate whether the cave was dug by human or by demon. It is impossible to say the caves were formed by itself. Some people suggest the caves were prisons. They probably were used to jail demons.
Say what? So if the water is gone, and they knew, remember I showed you that the bottomless meant death, the sea, right? And so the water going down, the water was there to hold them. There's a firmament over water. Once the water goes down, whatever is under comes up. Now, these were demon cells. This was a recent video, right? Houston, we have a problem. Cern has done its purpose. While everyone was looking for stranger things, these things are running what? They are running the world at a pace that you couldn't recognize. And because you can't see them, you don't believe that they are there. But like I said, their time to show up in the physical is not yet. But all the evidence points to them being released. You follow?
Since Euphrates River have run dry and the demons have been released as mentioned in the Bible. That is why this discovery is often connected to Revelation chapter 9 verse 14. Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates.
Now, they get the names wrong, but I just shared with y'all.
They are not good angel, they are demon. We know that these are demonic beings because they are described as bound. Demons are fallen angels, many of whom are bound in chains of gloomy darkness. God's good angels are not bound but are free. Found under the Euphrates River are Ziagra, Plutus, Angriala, and Lucifer. The region of the Euphrates, where these 4 angels are bound, has a notorious relationship to human sin.
So, you see the Stargate? You see why ISIS went to Mosul, which biblically is Nineveh, why they cut off the dam that goes into the Euphrates? Just remember this, when they cut off dams, destruction is coming. Now, Minister Yeshab, I don't believe you. I don't believe what you're saying. Mind the language. I don't believe what you're saying. I don't believe what you're saying. Remember the Hoover Dam? Well, it blew up, and now look what happened to it. Look at the Hoover Dam now, as of a few days ago. Where the water at? Where the water? If you in Babylon, you about to starve.
There's nothing to release.
No farms. Okay. No nothing. No water. Now, this also powers electricity as well. Wonder why those blackouts are coming, right? Look at this. Ain't no water. Now, y'all remember, well, maybe I didn't share with y'all, but if you go into this Hoover Dam, the Hoover Dam also had a Stargate as well, because they got that winged angel monument there. It's an angel for death. Okay. It's even got a little Illuminati post there, where everyone can see. It's public. Okay, go ahead and look it up. Little winged angel at Hoover Dam. And as people say, it's a rumor, but I don't believe it whatsoever. I believe it is fact, not fiction, that there are entities underneath there. Because every time water goes down, something comes up. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, right? So what's happening? They're being released. All this after Cern, you don't find it strange? You don't find it strange? No, you know, hey, whatever. 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 No one finds it strange. Okay. I'm just going to keep on ministering. I'm just going to say, hey, you know what? Who cares? 4 angels were bound. Four angels were bound. They most definitely are loosed. Why? So, hey, y'all not hearing me, right? Minister Yeshua, how can you say that they were? How can you say that they're losing? Let's check this out real quick. Revelation 7, the most, I would say, the most controversial thing to Christians and Israelites. Brothers and sisters, real quick before I go into this, because this is about the children of Israel. And for those of you who think spiritual Israel, that doesn't exist. I'm going to show you. Now, Gentiles in Romans 11 must be grafted in. That's correct, is it not? It says this. I mean, Paul spoke of himself always being of the tribe of Benjamin. Okay. We know that Gentiles must be grafted in. Therefore, and then it says in Romans 11, And 18, boast not against the branches, who are the branches, children of Israel. But if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Okay. Look what it says. For if God spared not the natural branches, take heed, lest he also spare not thee, which is telling the Gentiles to remain being humble in Christ. Doesn't mean that Israel does not exist. Okay. Romans 3. Paul says, what advantage then hath the Jew, or what profit is there of circumcision? Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God. So there's a certain spiritual privilege that comes to the children of Israel. Stop butchering Revelation 7. It drives me crazy. And in fact, for my Gentile brothers and sisters out there in Christ, in fact, be happy you are not Israel, because 12,000 people of each, excuse me, not 12,000 people, 12,000 men of each tribe of Israel, when we're scattered amongst the four corners of the earth, is not a lot of people. It's not. Considering there's about 8 to almost 9 billion people in the earth, and the Most High scattered all of Israel across the four corners of the earth, only 12,000 from each nation of Israel. It's 144,000. So be happy that that isn't you, and just get aligned with the Most High and do what's correct, right? Because you don't think it's hard to get in this number? Just imagine. Just imagine. You want to know how hard it is? I'm going to show you. Revelation 7. I'm going to show you why this is important. Revelation 7:1 reads, after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth. Who are these angels? Weren't there 4 angels released? Holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a second. So the 4 angels did not ascend, okay, or descend from heaven. You following me? They didn't come from heaven. This angel did. Why? Because it said the angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. So the 4 angels did not have the seal, did they? They came for destruction. You following me? Read it in detail. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels. Why would you cry? Because he didn't want them to kill, right? He didn't want them to kill. To whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. So he gave them a command, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. And I heard a number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Watch this. People do not read for understanding. This is why they don't understand it. They read to say they have read. Okay. And you can study all you want. I don't care how long you've been in the church. I really don't. Why? Scripture tells us in 1 Corinthians 11, excuse me, 1 Corinthians 12, I apologize. And God has set some in the church, first apostles, secondarily prophets, thirdly teachers, And after that, miracles, then gifts of healing, helps, government, diversity of tongues. Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Are all workers of miracles? No. So you're supposed to be going to someone for the information. Just because you read doesn't mean you understand. Oh, I hate when people butcher this. You're supposed to apply the entire scripture. If you, as a normal person, could read and get the answer or the conclusion for yourself, what would there be need for apostles and prophets and teachers? Right? Why would the Most High set these types of individuals up if you could just read and get the information? Oh, so therefore, if you are not in one of these positions, you must go to someone who has the information and who is in that position. You're following me? I hope you're still there. I hope they're still there. Going back. So, Revelation 7. Who are these 144,000 servants? I thought you'd never ask. Let's look up the word servant. Now here it says slave. Obviously, a little incorrect. Okay, here's the information. And so they're still giving it wrong. I want you to check this out. Let me go to Romans 13. I want you to remember this. It's good grief. I promise you, I hate when so many people who say they love the Bible, but they won't even apply it properly. Like, you're not a teacher, so stop teaching. Right? Stop teaching. You don't even understand Genesis to Revelation. Stop teaching. Just because you read one scripture or 5 chapters in the Bible in a book doesn't mean you are apt to teach. There are positions. Romans 13, they won't teach you this one. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. What higher power? Stop saying this is government, pastors. The powers that be are ordained of God. So if you understand the powers in which he's talking about, keep reading. Has nothing to do with government. Whosoever therefore resisteth the powers, resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For the rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Will thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt praise of the same. For he is a minister of God. So who is the higher power that is ordained of God? They're ministers. For he is a minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is a minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. A lot of people don't know these elect will have the ability over your life. That's called judgment. There's 2 people who carry the swords of God, angels and ministers. Don't believe me? Go ahead and look up that last lesson that I did in the furnace, the fire of the furnace of fire. That lesson, okay? Go ahead and look it up. That last one that no one seems to like. I could care less. But scripture is scripture. A minister has massive power over people's judgment. Now, let's see, because this is in respects to Revelation 7. What is a minister? A minister is an attendant. A minister can mean also specifically a Christian teacher or pastor. A minister is a servant. So then we go into Revelation 7. Until we have sealed the servants of God, the 144,000 men of Israel are all ministers. Every other man who is not a minister of the children of Israel will die. That is scripture. If they die, does that mean they won't go to the kingdom? No. But we coming into an age of what, brothers and sisters? An age of representation. You can no longer hide that you are a man of the Most High or a woman of the Most High. You can no longer hide that you are a man or a child of Satan. You can no longer hide. These individuals are the best of the best. The laborers that people prayed for when Christ said, pray for laborers. Right? He said to pray for laborers. You remember that? Many call, few are chosen. The harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. The real servants of the Most High, the real ministers of the Most High are few. It's 144. Don't believe me? That's okay. I'm going to pull out the book. And let's, where is it? One moment. Okay. So remember this book, Dictionary of Word Origins. Okay. We'll pull up right from this, and this is a biblically inspired dictionary of word origins, by the way. Okay. Now, what it says for the definition of servant: a minister. A minister is a person of lower status, a servant. The word goes back via Old French ministre to Latin minister, servant, attendant. Now, follow me then. Definition of minister, biblically: one who serves. Don't follow me? You don't? No, they not following. They not following. The king's subordinate attendants as servants, higher officials. The priest and Levites, ministers, were servants of God. The word minister comes from the Latin minister, which means servant. Therefore, Revelation 7, those who are sealed, these are who? These servants are ministers. How do we know? Let's finish. So I got all the definitions for you on every single angle. Can't say no one ever didn't teach you. In Latin, minister means servant or attendant. Does it not mean the same thing here? Which derived from minus, which means less. Didn't Christ say the what? Servant is not greater than his master. his ministers are no greater than the greatest minister, than the king, right? He's their king. He's our king, Lord of lords, King of kings. We are not greater than him. Therefore, Christ went through it. His ministers must go through it as well. Follow me? It retained this meaning when it arrived in English, and indeed it still survives in the verb minister. But already by the Middle Ages, a specialized application to a church functionary had developed, and in the 16th century, this hardened into the present day clergyman. So they changed the meaning. Now you say clergy, but no, a servant is a minister, and a minister is a servant. Who is a minister or a servant? The political sense of the word developed in the 17th century from the notion of a servant of the crown. Who holds the crown? Christ. The servants work for Christ. Can we now put this away? Can we now put this away where people can stop butchering and saying this does not include women? So you can wipe your forehead. Oof, thank you, Most High. 12,000 women? No. This is 12,000 men of each of the tribes of Israel who are servants to the crown. It said what? In Revelation 14. What did it describe about these who are 144,000 who were with the Lamb? What did it describe about them? It said, these are they which follow the Lamb wheresoever he goeth. A servant of the crown. Now, why am I getting into this? Because these four angels that were released, Azazel, Sanjaza, so forth, the angel from heaven said, all right, hold on now. I see you eager, but you got to hold on. Now, until we have sealed the servants of the crowd, the servants of the king, the servants of the great I am, so you can identify who to stay away from, you cannot hurt nothing. Now, according to the world that we see, is the earth hurting? It is. Is the sea hurting? It is. Are the trees hurting? Who forgot about all the trees in Africa and in the Amazon that are just about gone now? Those are gone. Are the trees hurting? They are. So they have been playing ball, haven't they? Knock them down, right? But wait. You want to see how much evil is going on? I want to share this with you. If you ever thought Satan wasn't in the midst, check this out. Look how they burn the crops. So you got evil people, Satan's children, going around farms, diagonaling these magnifying glasses to hit the sun at the perfect height to start crop fights. Oh, these angels, they here to play. They ain't here to be your friend. They are here to destroy. They are here to destroy. You thought it was a game. Just because you've seen a farm maybe in your land, you best to watch carefully. Because guess what? They are here. They're here. And because you don't see them, they children working. I tell you, I kid you not, their children are working. Question is, Most High, when they gonna pay attention? Most High, when they gonna pay attention? Because no one seems to pay attention. Now that that's out the bag, let's check out these four angels who they have risen up from Cern. Okay, let's check out these four angels. In Revelation 9, okay, in 4, it says, it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. So you see why all the pestilence, the Marburg, the monkeypox, all the people who don't have the seal of God, all the men. Now, remember, if you remember right from my last lesson of yesterday, I showed you that Satan, Apollo, it meant separation. This is a separation of men from the Most High to the unrighteous. Is it not? This is a separation. One side against another. Everyone thought they was just going to go chill and, well, I got the Most High. You thought it was going to be good. It's just talking about it. No, the Most High's like, I'm going to show you my way. I'm going to separate you. If you get sick, you know what it is. You know you're not on my side, so you better get on my side. If you lose things, if you lose your home, and eventually we will all be cast out of our homes. But guess what? Though we may lose our homes, we want to lose it in the proper prophecy. Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't want to lose it through inflation, because that's not the prophecy of the Most High. You want to lose it second Ezra's way. You want to lose it being a man or woman of the Most High. Just like it says here in second Ezra's. It says in second Ezra 68, 16 and 68, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden under foot. For there shall be in every place, even and in the next cities, a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. And they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses, and cast them out of their houses, and cast them out of their houses. Therefore, with that being said, I want to go out this way. I don't want to go out because I wasn't serving the Most High properly, and now I'm stuck on the street, or I'm looking to sleep in a shelter. That was not the prophecy of the Most High, because he said what? Then shall be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold and the fire. So if you can withstand in being in a home, going through all the motions, going through all the plagues, which guess what? This judgment ain't for the righteous. Why would the Most High punish you and have you pay with the sinners if you didn't do nothing, right? So it's to see who's standing tall in his faith with works. And then they will cast us out of homes. But I don't want to be, I, I, I don't want to receive the punishment of being those who don't have the seal of God in their foreheads. You'll understand how deep this goes. It says, and to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they shall be tormented 5 months. And their torment was a torment of the scorpion when he striketh a man. So you see, you was thinking that you was going to see a literal scorpion. All you have to do, brothers and sisters, is understand what a scorpion's sting looks like. And you can start to see like boils, right? Like little things, abrasions and different things coming on their skin, like monkeypox, right? Right? And in those days shall men seek death and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. Wow. I'm telling you, prophecy moving so fast, like it's crazy, brothers and sisters. It's crazy. Prophecy is moving so fast because you would literally have to put a video out every day of the week to get all the information out. Like 1 minute it's monkeypox, 1 minute it's this, 1 minute it's that, 1 minute it's that. Like it's finished. At this point, brothers and sisters, if you are not solid with the Most High, you need to do what he says in the book of Revelation. And he says, strengthen what remains. That's what you have to do. And make sure you have the seal of God. By the way, the seal is the Holy Spirit. The seal is the Holy Spirit. Now, for those of you who think getting the Holy Spirit is quite easy, let me show you something. Let me show you that it ain't just about baptism. Because a lot of people think, oh, yes, baptism is a very important step. Okay. But as a minister, I got to show, be real with y'all. This is the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6. Don't ever say no one didn't share with you. Because how the Christian churches, I'm sorry, Israelite community, I'm sorry, they've butchered the Holy Spirit and haven't even taught properly. Why? Let's start. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, reads, hear therefore, O ye kings, and understand, learn, ye that be judges of the ends of the earth. Who are judges? Ministers. So when you say, no one can judge me but God, he set ministers to judge you. Romans 13, 1 through 5. And here, but we'll keep going. Give ear ye that rule the people, and glory in the multitude of nations. The power is given you of the Lord, and sovereignty from the highest, who shall try your works and search out your counsels. So the Most High gonna try me for what I'm doing, making sure it's pure, making sure all us ministers are proper. We're gonna try us. Because being ministers of his kingdom, ye have not judged aright, nor kept the law, nor walked after the counsel of God. Now, this is a lot of ministers today, right? We call them what? Scribes and Pharisees. We call them what? False prophets, false shepherds, right? And it reads, horribly and speedily shall he come upon you, for a sharp judgment shall be to them that be in high places. See that? All the and let me explain this. Ministers, pastors are falling out of the churches. People, deacons are falling out of churches. Bishops are falling out, getting robbed, all kinds of things. Let me say this. If an elected, so-called, like I would say, like a person in position of the church, your deacon, your bishops, you know, those who help you in the ministry, if they leave a church, that church is corrupted. I want you to understand, because the Most High is exposing what's in the dark and making it in the light. So if you have elders who are leaving, pastors who are leaving, scandal upon scandal, he is exposing those who you would have believed in those high places. So you understand and go back to the scripture and seek a laborer of Christ who is what? The elect of Christ. And no one pays attention to scripture. If everyone in these churches would follow the Bible for a year and just stop going to these churches, guess what? They would be outside with pitchforks at these mega pastors and these everyday Sunday corner pastors churches. Be like, wait, you lied to me. 20 years. All it took me was 6 months, 7 months to a year to read the Bible. First month, I was like, I had to catch my breath. You lied to me. No, you lied to me. You don't have my best interest in hand. You don't want me to get to the kingdom. How come you teach more Paul, but I haven't even heard the things that Christ have mentioned? Why you don't teach us these things? How come it mentions the Feast of Tabernacle and the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread and the New Testament, but you don't even teach us how to keep those days? Why you don't teach us this? And Christ is wearing the Gospels of Christ. Why don't you teach me these things? Because then when I see these crazy Israelites and these crazy people that everyone calling crazy say to keep the holy days of Leviticus 23, but yet they can pull it up in the New Testament, what's going on? It seems like you use Christmas, which is in Jeremiah 10, which is the Old Testament, to hold me to what? A standard. But then what happens? They get destroyed for being an idolater because you're not serving God. The origins matter. The origins matter. Okay? Verse 6, for mercy will soon pardon the meanest, but mighty men shall be mightily tormented. For he, which is Lord over all, shall fear no man's person, neither shall he stand in awe of any man's greatness, for he hath made the small and great and careth for all alike. Simple, we should all be humble. But a sore trial shall come upon the mighty. Unto you, therefore, O kings, do I speak, that ye may learn wisdom and not fall away. For they that keep holiness holy shall be judged holy, and they that have learned such things shall find what to answer. Wherefore set your affection upon my words, and desire them, and ye shall be instructed. Wisdom is glorious and never fadeth away, yea, she is easily seen of them that love her, and found of such as seek her. She preventeth them that desire her, in making herself first known unto them. Whoso seeketh her early shall have no great travail, for he shall find her sitting at his doors. To think therefore upon her is perfection, and of wisdom, and whoso watcheth for her shall quickly be without care. For she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, showeth herself favorable unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought. Now, you didn't understand this is referring to the Holy Spirit. Wisdom is the Holy Spirit. It says, for she goeth about seeking those that are worthy of her. You just don't get the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit chooses you. But in order for the Holy Spirit to choose you, something must happen. Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 4. You don't believe me? No? Chapter 4. And I'll start from Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 4, verse 11. Wisdom exalteth her children. Who's that? The Holy Spirit. And layeth hold of them that seek her. He that loveth her loveth life. And they that seek to her early shall be filled with joy. He that holdeth her fast shall inherit glory. And wheresoever she entereth, the Lord will bless. They that serve her shall minister to the Holy One. What is a minister? Servant. They shall be a servant to Christ. Once again. So the true ministers are really rolling with the Holy Spirit. And them that love her, the Lord doeth love. And whoso giveth ear unto her shall judge the nations. See? Those are ministers going to have the power of judging people. Okay? And he that attendeth unto her shall dwell securely. If a man commit himself unto her, he shall inherit her. You must commit yourself unto the Holy Spirit. How can you do that without knowing about Christ? Christ said, I will give you the comfort. Did he not? So in order to receive the Holy Spirit, you must first prove yourself walking as Christ. How can I prove this? And in his generation shall hold her in possession. For at that first she will walk with him by crooked ways, and bring fear and dread upon him, and torment him with her discipline, showing you the Holy Spirit is heavily of discipline. And until she may trust his soul and try him by her laws. By the way, all the Old Testament laws are of the Holy Spirit, which means what? Until the Holy Spirit can trust you, she will not dwell with you. Until the Holy Spirit can see that you are disciplined, she will not dwell with you. Until the Holy Spirit sees that you can keep all the laws of the Most High, stop complaining about it, guess what? Then she'll be with you. But until then, she won't. Verse 18, then will she return the straight way unto him, and comfort him, and show him her secrets. So guess what? Certain things happen for certain people. Some teachers, some apostles, some prophets. How do you get these certain things, these secrets? Get real with the Most High. Follow Christ the real way. Do what he says. Carry up that cross. Okay? But if he go wrong, she will forsake him and give him over to his own ruin. So mess around and play with the Holy Spirit if you want. The Holy Spirit ain't one to be played with. So with that being said, pay attention. All these people, hey, like I say, get yourself together. Get your mind right. Give your life to the Most High. And you better start reading them Gospels. because, and you better start living, I should say, the Gospels, because you ain't even gonna. The Holy Spirit at this point, we got a lot to prove in a little bit of time. I want you to understand that, right? There is a lot to prove, because what? It says, until she may trust his soul. And you don't think that the Holy Spirit isn't going to apply scriptures like in the book of John? Do y'all remember in the book of John? Where it said, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they of God. So you don't think the Holy Spirit is going to try you and see if you're really about it? Come on now. You think you're just going to get laid hands upon and baptized and receive the Holy Spirit? Don't work like that. But why I'm telling you this is because it's time, brothers and sisters. It is time. Make a choice. Deuteronomy 30 and 19, choose life or death. And once you choose the side, praying that you choose life, ride with it all the way. Because if you're new into this journey, I'm talking about 2 years into this journey or less, that's new. You got a lot to prove. I'm not saying that it can't be done, but I'm saying it's going to be hard. Because nothing worth receiving comes easy, right? You have to work hard. In fact, isn't that what Paul said? He said, through much tribulation is how we enter into the kingdom of heaven. You can't enter in without much to go through. It's like a resume. What have you spiritually went through for the Most High? Have you went through anything? Now, I'm telling you all about your job and how, this person got on your nerves, and that has to do with your job. You see, you want to know something, right? And I'm going to show you how job persecution doesn't always equate to works of Christ. Christ was a carpenter. Never once did he talk about trials at work. Gotcha. His trials came when he was doing the will of his Father. Gotcha. Right? So if you're doing the will of the Most High at your job, you better be saving souls, because on that resume, what if the Most High was like, and Christ on the day of judgment was like, all right, Minister Yeshua. So I'm using myself for an example. You worked at this place. All right. You got persecuted, but how many souls did you save? How many souls did you sow a seed to? Well, you was at this job for about 3 years. You only saved about 5 people, and you favored people, knowing that, well, it says, I am not a respecter of persons, but you favored people. Don't you know the Most High going to use the word to judge us? That's why we're supposed to read it. You favored people. Don't favor people. Don't favor your family. Don't favor your. Am I talking too much? I'm talking too much. Let me stop. But you get it. The Holy Spirit is looking. Why am I adding all this? We're talking about the start of the Iraq War. We're talking about the abyss in the bottomless pit. We're talking about revelations as the 4 angels are binding themselves to what? To torment. And that brings me into now bringing in a little bit more of the understanding. of Cern. Check this out. Fair use.
This picture of the sun might not look very impressive until you realize it was taken at night. A telescope that wasn't looking up at the night sky, but rather down through the earth, pointing towards the sun. And it wasn't detecting light, but instead it was measuring subatomic particles called neutrinos. Sounds like science fiction. It's actually science fact. Let's see how it works. Hi, I'm Dr. Ben Miles, a physicist turned entrepreneur, and I'm interested in how we use science to improve the world and our understanding of the universe. Today I want to talk about neutrinos, particularly strange subatomic particles that don't have much, potentially zero mass, a bit like a particle of light. They can pass through ceilings, walls, and planets without slowing down.
Now, remember, take notes of this, brothers and sisters. He said it can pass through ceilings, right? Let's run it back. And I know you guys are like, oh, Minister Yashab, here you go with another science video. I'm going to break it down. Don't worry.
Don't have much, potentially zero mass, a bit like a particle of light. They can pass through ceilings.
So they can go through ceilings.
Walls and planets without slowing down.
Ceilings, walls.
They can pass through ceilings, walls, and planets without slowing down.
Planets. Now, we just bypass the planets. So just put ceilings and walls, right? So neutrinos can go through ceilings and walls. I want you to remember this. I'm going to tell you the points.
They can change what type of particle they are mid-flight.
They can change. Okay, they can change.
Process known as flavor oscillation, which sounds delicious, but I'm told by experts isn't. Today I want to focus on how we detect these ghost-like particles, which takes place in an observatory that looks basically like something straight out of every science fiction writer's imagination.
Now, did you catch he said ghost particles? Okay. So these ghost particles can go through walls and ceilings. Are you catching it? Are you catching it? Not physical, but spiritual, right? You catching it? Okay. I know it's sciencey, but hold on.
A telescope under a mountain in Japan called Super Kamiokande, or Super K for short. But first, I want to give a little bit of context as to why these particles are so difficult to detect in the first place. Neutrinos are created by various radioactive decays, and this is in fact how they were first theorized by Wolfgang Pauli in 1930, after James Chadwick noticed that electrons resulting from beta decays emerge with a continuous spectrum of energy, whereas theories at the time expected a specific energy of that emerging electron. Pauli wrote a letter to the Physical Institute in Zurich stating that he had hit upon a desperate remedy to save the exchange theorem, the possibility that there could exist in the nuclei electrically neutral particles that he called neutrons. At that point, the real neutron hadn't actually been discovered yet, and the mass of Pauli's neutron was many, many, many times smaller than the atomic neutron that was later discovered. So his particle was renamed neutrino, with ino meaning small. Neutrinos are really small. They're much smaller than any other known particle, excluding, I guess, massless particles, and carry no electric charge, so they aren't influenced by magnetic or electric fields. They predominantly interact with the universe by something called the nuclear weak force.
Now, write this down. Nuclear weak force. Because when I think of weak force, I think of Ephesians 6 and 12. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. What is the weaker force to the Most High? The evil spirits, right? They're the weaker. Okay, there's two forces. There's a strong force and there's a weak force. The strong force will always dominate the weak force. In order for us, as the creation of the Most High, to dominate the weak force, because he told us we can tremble on them, right? We have to be walking as Christ, in Christ, and by Christ. You understand? So remember that.
Gravity, I guess, to a certain extent. This means that neutrinos have practically no interaction with other particles.
As a result, they can normally pass straight through most matter, steel, lead, even entire stars or...
Now, mind you, they can pass through us. Okay. These are ghost particles, they say. I want you to pay attention.
unimpeded and undetected. So, how do we, as curious scientists or observers of the universe, ever actually go about seeing them? Our current and most powerful tools that we have for reading the information in the cosmos rely on methods of directly detecting particles that are moving through it. For example, optical telescopes, even those as advanced as Hubble, make observations by directly detecting particles of light, photons, absorbing them and converting that absorption into an electrical signal through something maybe like a charge capture device, a CCD, a photomultiplier, or a single photon detector. When we want to detect something that doesn't get absorbed easily, doesn't interact with matter or mass easily, we have to look for evidence that the particle leaves behind. One of the major experiments doing exactly that is Super K, a huge stainless steel tank filled with 50,000 tons of ultra purified water. Built.
Now, the world is starving with water, and they're going to use your water. Boy, they crack me up. They crazy. But continuing.
A kilometer underground in Kamioka mine in Japan. Its goal is to detect Cherenkov radiation emitted by passing neutrinos. Cherenkov radiation is an electromagnetic radiation, light, emitted when a charged particle like an electron passes through a medium at a speed greater than the phase velocity of light in that medium. Phase velocity just means the speed of light in the particular substance. Cherenkov radiation is also responsible for that blue glow that you see associated with nuclear reactors. Those are particles that are moving incredibly quickly, faster than the phase speed of light in water, and generating essentially booms of light emerging out of the tank. It's a similar principle as the sonic boom emitted by a fighter jet as it moves faster than the speed of sound. However, particles, instead of outrunning sound, are outrunning their own electric fields, and it isn't a sonic boom that occurs, but an optical one. For this reason, the inside of Super K is lined with hundreds of photomultipliers, sensitive enough that they could even detect light from a candle if it was held at the distance of the moon.
Now pay attention, because you put this in technology, they can see everything. Now you have to think of Cern. This is also, but this is in Japan. This is also underground, deep in the core of the ground. We're talking about portals. We're talking about stargates. We're talking about the abyss, them releasing the four angels. That's what we're talking about. And now we're talking about what? Them identifying these ghost particles. We know ghosts to be spirits, right? These are spirits. So what are they trying to do?
Used in Super K is water, because the speed of light in water is about 3/4 of the speed of light in a vacuum.
No, that's wrong. Remember, I told you they always have to go back to what came first. They were bound in water. They were drowned by water. Are you paying attention? The depths, the bottomless, was underneath the water. So they are trying to see to get the rest of their spirits out of the water. You following me? Oh, that's too much. That's too much, isn't it? Right? Keep going.
So you have a much higher probability of getting particles moving faster than it. Our problem here is, as we said at the beginning, neutrinos aren't a charged particle. They don't really like interacting with matter or mass around them. So we need to detect neutrinos' passage by one of two reasonably rare events. In the first mechanism, we rely on a neutrino hitting and elastically scattering an electron in one of those water molecules contained in that vessel. And for that electron that does recoil, to recoil at a speed that is faster than the speed of light in water. That is over 500 million miles an hour, in order to generate Cherenkov radiation. The second mechanism that we have to rely on is the neutrino interacting spontaneously with a weak force-carrying particle, which would cause it to convert into its equivalent lepton. That might be an electron, it might be a muon, or it might be a tau particle. Regardless of which one it is, those particles are all charged particles. And so, moving faster than the speed of light, they will generate also Cherenkov radiation. As you can imagine, these events don't happen all that often. The fact that we understand the universe well enough to have worked out that they do in fact happen at all, and then built a detector that can actually prove that it does happen, is equal parts, I think, frightening and exciting about our capability to think about the universe. We are exceptionally clever monkeys, I guess it turns out.
We ain't no monkeys.
Final point, we can tell where within this tank the neutrino was and the direction that it was traveling in, because Cherenkov radiation is emitted outward in a cone, allowing scientists to backsolve for the location and the trajectory of the particle. And more or less, that is how we took a picture of the sun at night from inside a mountain, looking through the planets. If you like this, give the video a like and do some.
Now, that's a little bit of information. And I'm going to leave it at here until we go back into this, but I'm not going to go into the full. I'm not going to play this whole video, but I want you to listen. I watched the video, but I want you to listen to what this man, he comes out and flat out says it in the first minute. Check this out. Here he
When you get right down to it, all of particle physics is completely fascinating. But generally, each scientist develops expertise about a specific subject so they can then advance humanity's understanding of the laws of nature. At Fermilab, researchers decided that studying the behavior of neutrinos provides the best chance of making a breakthrough. Fermilab is already the flagship accelerator-based neutrino laboratory, and by building the International Deep Underground Neutrino Experiment, we're working hard to stay that way for the next several decades. Neutrinos are fascinating particles, which can change their identity from one form to another. That's pretty crazy sounding and needs some explanation.
changing form from one identity to another. That's what he said, right? Listen to what he's about to say.
For instance, if a neutrino were an animal, it would be like a cat turning into a jaguar, then into a tiger, before turning back into a cat again.
This is shape shifted. So what are they doing? They are creating what? They're trying to figure out how to help the fallen shape shift better. He said it. I didn't make this up. He said it. What you think is not always what you think.
For instance, if a neutrino were an animal, it would be like a cat turning into a jaguar, then into a tiger, before turning back into a cat again.
And this is supposed to be a ghost particle?
Studying that morphing behavior of neutrinos is key to making discoveries.
The morphing behavior of neutrinos. It is a morph. It's a shape shifting. It's a demonic particle. It's almost as if you can say they're trying to figure out all the particles so they can create more demons. I don't know. What do you think? Call me crazy, but that's what I think.
But before you can study the identity-changing behavior of neutrinos, you first have to be able to detect neutrinos.
So obviously they want to detect them for what? Studying and creating them more so they can shape shift, right? Now remember, let's see. Remember in that video, let me go back to the last one. I wasn't going to play that whole one. Don't worry. I want no one to be like, oh, it's too much science. Now, remember that super K that he was referring to? That's underwater, right? Where does this look familiar? Does anyone remember? Check this out. You remember this? We'll play it together, side by side now. This movie is 2012.
11,000 feet. Searched all over India for this thing. Used to be the deepest copper mine in the world. Remember my brother Pradeep? He's a student now. Last day Dr. Hal, he said. Adrian, that's just Adrian. मुझे वो पांच चाहिए. ऐसे सीधे टूट गए. Just don't pour too much, huh? How do you work in this heat? You come on a good day, my friend. Sometimes it can hit 120 degrees. Let's come and meet Dr. Lokesh, fellow of quantum physics at the university in Chennai. Namaste. Dr. Helmsley.
So, what are we looking at?
These neutrinos acting normally. Minuscule mass, no electrical charge. They pass through ordinary matter almost undisturbed.
Your message said the count doubled after the last solar eruptions.
That was last week. But this happened 2 days ago. The biggest sun eruptions in human history, causing the highest neutrino count we've ever recorded. That's not what bodies engaged in. For the first time ever, neutrinos are causing a physical reaction.
And this is what they're trying to do, brothers and sisters. They're trying to get the spiritual to shapeshift into the physical to get that physical reaction. So Zazel and all of them can have their armies. Remember, it said thousands upon thousands, right? Come on now. These are so-called ghost particles. Cern is looking up the so-called God particle. Are you paying attention? They're all interconnected. One is trying to break the firmament, and the other is trying to prepare for the other falling, for the other spirits. You see where it is?
That's impossible.
Ah, that feels very good. Please, follow me. I won't believe this.
Now, look at this. What is this? This is the same exact thing. Do you see it? The structures here in the dark are the same
This multi-time goes down another 6,000 feet.
See, they're all over the wall. They're all over the wall. They're all on the floor. They're all on the floor. Showing you the same thing. When they play with this stuff, they're looking for massive destruction. But the fallen, the evil spirits, are behind this destruction, and they are helping them accelerate. Are you following me? Look, he done flashed the light all over the wall. It's the same exact thing. They're looking to change the world completely through destruction. If you've seen 2012, the whole world had went crazy, right? The weather, the animals, the people. Is this not what Revelation said? Hurt not the earth, the grass, everything, the sea, until he sealed the servants? The neutrino and Cern are one and the same.
Looks like the neutrinos coming from the sun are mutated into a new kind of nuclear particle. They're heating up the Earth's core.
Now, the heating up the Earth's core, we saw that Cern in that article, it said what? Cern generates extreme temperatures. They are doing this all on purpose. It is here, we are there in that exact scripture, and it's time, brothers and sisters. It's time. You didn't think I was going to be able to pin all of this together. See, they give you one piece, give you Cern, but you got to really be intertwined with the Holy Spirit to understand where all this is coming from. And how could they operate this, brothers and sisters, worldwide? Well, let's now then look at the locations that they have. The LHC in the United States. So how many of you knew that they had Cern in the United States? Not just in Europe, but this is a whole article. In fact, I'm going to put this in the description so y'all can see this yourself. But remember, we just talked about Fermilab. This is the same company, Fermilab. That one man that I didn't play the whole video. Next, look, collaborating with Cern and Japanese laboratory Keek. We will go over Keek, which is neutrinos, next lesson, because I have a 3-part video, and they're all long, on just the Japanese Cern. Just the Japanese Cern alone. And then I'm going to show you how it all goes back into the what? The mascot of Cern, which is Shiva. I'm going to show you. Okay. Moving forward. Here are United States institutions, which are called universities, that are all participating and that all have hadron colliders at their university. Arizona University, or U of A, Tucson, California, look at all of these. USC, Colorado, Connecticut, Yale. You wonder why people going crazy? All these things happening in these different places. Look what's happening. This is to make the temperature hotter. This is to alter people's minds. These are self-made portals to contribute to Cern and neutrino in all these states. Florida. Okay, University of Florida, Illinois, University of Chicago, and then they got the abbreviations on the side. Okay, Indiana, Purdue, Notre Dame, Iowa, ISU, Kansas State, University of Kansas, Johns Hopkins. Isn't that the one that they always using to make your booster, right? And they tell you by medical support, medical reports through Johns Hopkins, right? Yup. Massachusetts, Boston University, Harvard, Tufts, UMass, Michigan State, University of Michigan, Minneapolis, Creighton, Nebraska University, or University of Nebraska, Princeton. That's all your Ivy Leagues, right? They not getting many people because they like you, they getting all these kids and these young people to what? To help destroy the earth. They pulling kids from different parts of the world to help destroy the earth. New Mexico, or excuse me, Rutgers, New Mexico, Albuquerque, they got an atlas. New York, Columbia University, Cornell, NYU, Syracuse, Duke University, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Oregon, Penn State, all Ivy Leagues, told you. University of Puerto Rico, I would certainly like to know how much security that place has, how much water it generates, and how much electricity it generates, since the island is always out of power. I would love to know, right? They're going to keep that open and let the people starve there. But nevertheless, Brown University, another Ivy League. Oak Ridge National Laboratory, that one's a big one. That one's a very important one. If you ever get a chance, research that one. It's a dirty one. They're all dirty, but you understand what I mean. It has a very high level of importance. Rice University, Texas A&M, University of Texas, Texas Tech out in Lubbock, Hampton University, University of Virginia, Virginia Polytech. Look at all these places that they having these students build hadron colliders. You wonder why people are going mad in Babylon? Why all the things are just generating thing after thing? Pay attention, brothers and sisters. This is all spiritual warfare. This is all spiritual warfare. Okay? Look what it says. Working on foreign soil is nothing new for U.S. particle physicists who have contributed to experiment laboratories in Germany. Got them there too, for my overseas viewers. Switzerland, as we know, Japan. I'm going to get into the one in Japan in the next lesson. I'm quite sure they got more of these in Germany and more of these in Europe. Of course, it's always more than what meets the eye. Look what they said. 98 institutions, 29 countries. Want to know why everything is going crazy? Why it's so hot? What are they doing underground? It's creating, the world has become what? The world has become a microwave to what they're doing under the ground, because what's in darkness must come to light. Atlas, 158 in 35 countries. The CMS, 182 in 38 countries. The Large Hadron Collider, 48 institutions, 15 countries. And the Totem, which is 11 institutions in 8 countries. Brothers and sisters, Cern was not just in Switzerland. It was all over. And they created them all over. Why do you think they created it? Okay. Pay attention. The spiritual war is real. The spiritual war is real. And it is here. And I pray that everyone is ready. This is not a game. After this, brothers and sisters, comes complete destruction. They've already primed the world for it. Now they just need something to blame rather than themselves. So they're going to do what? Inflation. They're going to drive people to the point of insanity. No food and inflation, right? All right, it's one thing if we have inflation. Okay. But then you mean to tell me we have no jobs, plus we have inflation. And then in some countries, they stopping people from getting in their bank account. And then on top of that, there's barely any food, and some of the shelves are not being restocked worldwide. And now nations are holding off from sending to other countries. There's a shortage of shipping freights. There's a shortage of railroad workers and shipping through trains, and there's a shortage of pilots, which means how are we going to get our goods from other countries? No matter what country you're in. And then there's a supposed shortage on fuels around the world. So what does this mean? We're about to see. What did it say? With him was death and hell. We're about to see. You know, when people used to say, oh, I got to make it to heaven because the earth is hell. No, you're about to see hell for real. You're about to see hell for real. I urge brothers and sisters, give your life to the Most High in Christ and the Holy Spirit. Give it now. Give it now. Give it now. Because, brothers and sisters, look at the world. Look at the world. You really think we got much longer? I mean, come on. Come on. I mean, and we already know one prophecy is going to happen. Babylon got to get destroyed by the other countries. And that ain't going to unite, you know, the countries in righteousness. That's going to unite them even more in unrighteousness. Everybody hates the United States. Everyone knows that. Sanctioning people and, you know, withholding things. Like, come on. So, brothers and sisters, we ain't got much time. Get yourself together quickly. Don't tarry. Don't wait. Remember, because prophecy is not your time and it's not my time. It's when the Most High wants it to be done. Remember that. We don't got much time. With that being said, I love you all. Stay encouraged. Keep up the good fight, which is the good fight of faith. Make sure you perform with good works and be a great representation of Christ, the Most High, and the Holy Spirit. Show those fruits of the Spirit. Love you all. Shabbat Shalom.